What is the reason that's going to be the driving force to keep you to push forward, even when you have those moments of imposter syndrome, doubt, because that's bound to happen. It's inevitable. It continues to happen till this day. And I think as you grow within your business, you just find strategies and tools that help you navigate those instances better. But the biggest thing is coming back to your why. What is that driving force that's going to keep you motivated?
Welcome to the Career Change for Women podcast. I'm Brittany Cates, career coach and fellow career shifter, here to help you leave unfulfilling work behind. Every Thursday, I share stories, strategies, and confidence-boosting insights to help you gain clarity, take action, and create a career you love. Let's shift your day job together. Welcome to today's episode. I'm thrilled to introduce you to my guest, Alaina Case. She's an experienced virtual assistant coach with over 9 years of business expertise and 3 years as a virtual assistant herself. Alaina brings a unique mix of knowledge from her background in public relations, marketing, and customer experience, making her what she calls trilingual in the business world. She's a powerhouse when it comes to helping entrepreneurs launch, scale their virtual assistant businesses using clear communication, strategic systems, and foundational processes to guide them toward success. Alaina's passion for empowering others shines through as she shares her journey from building a business on her own terms to creating a thriving community at Elite VA Services. Whether you're just starting your virtual assistant business or looking to even jump into that arena, Alaina's insights and expertise are bound to inspire you to take your business and life to the next level. So please join me in welcoming Alaina to the podcast. Hi, Alaina. How
Thank
are you today?
Thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction. I am excited to be here and talk all things entrepreneurship because I know and have lived and helped people also achieve this dream of creating a business with the skills they already have and creating a life of freedom, flexibility, and uncapped income. And I just want people to know that they are capable of doing anything they put their mind to. So I'm grateful to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we have similar messages. So I'm excited to chat with. I always love chatting with like-minded people. It's really fun. Before we get into maybe some of those things, do you mind sharing your background and how your profession or your career has evolved over time to get you to where you are now?
Yeah, I have a very interesting background. I actually, throughout college, I was a lifeguard and ended up being a head lifeguard at a variety of community pools within Georgia while I was still finishing up my degree in journalism, concentration in public relations at GSU. Through that opportunity, I then got a head lifeguard opportunity at a nonprofit organization in Atlanta. It's actually one of the top known brain injury and spinal cord injury hospitals in the world. So it was very exciting to just step into a different space with lifeguarding and not just be a pool full of crazy kids or adults jumping off a diving board. It was actually used for therapy. And while I was still finishing up my degree at Georgia State, I was able to move up the ladder at that organization. So I left the pool and moved into the public relations department, and I worked there for 7 months. And then I left there and then became the volunteer services coordinator. And I was in that role for a little over 3 years. So I was at that organization for 6 years, but worked my way up the ladder. And it was very exciting and empowering. But at the same time, I started to deal with a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion concerns that I advocated for myself, and nothing just changed. And this is also during the pandemic happening, a lot of racial tension and diversity issues going on at that time, too. So it was just,
Mhm.
it felt like work was no longer my happy place. Like I enjoyed going to work and being with the volunteers and just seeing the transformation of miracles happen to patients who came in with some traumatic injury and they're leaving here with new profound wisdom. So I really took away a lot from that opportunity. But after just not being satisfied in that role, I decided to take a leap of faith on myself. So I quit with nothing lined up, had no clue what I was going to do next in August of 2020. And kind of background story, while I was working at that organization, I also had a couple side jobs. So I had a travel blog as well as I had a gemstone and crystal business. I've always enjoyed entrepreneurship and finding ways to connect with my community through things that I enjoy and love to share with others. So crystals, and that was really something I loved. And travel at the time, my husband was working for Delta. So that was a benefit of having those flight benefits. Why not create a travel blog out of it? So at that same time, I made connections through travel blogging, and an individual that I knew, she stepped into the VA world. And then that's how I was introduced to it. Quit on a leap of faith, August 2020, and Elite VA Service was born January of 2021.
Wow. That's the to quit without really like knowing what you are going to do next is always a bold and scary move.
Yes.
What inspired you to do that? Sure.
I don't recommend doing that unless you're at a point where no longer it's substantial to your well-being. If your job is making you cry or call your family or vent to people crying every day, or you no longer want to be there, it's just no longer fulfilling to your soul, it's time to take a leap of faith on yourself and ditch it. But normally, I would say have something lined up before you decide to quit. For myself, I had gotten to that point of no return. I was constantly going to work. There were times I would pull up to the facility, be in the parking lot, and then send an email saying, I'm going to use a sick day today. I just did not even want to step into that environment. It wasn't the organization as a whole. I love what they do. I still to this day talk about them and recommend them. It was specifically a supervisor who ruined that whole experience for me. And I know that has happened to so many others, how leadership, one bad apple can spoil it for so many others in the organization. And it truly comes down to culture. And that's what made me take the leap is I just was calling my husband and my mom every day, crying, pulling up to the parking lot, there, physically there, and then using a sick day. It was time to figure out what was the next thing for me. I was so tired of working for somebody else's dream and not getting the recognition that I deserved for the value that I contributed to the organization, as well as what's for Alaina. Like I really wanted to come back to what do I want to do? What's the next step for me? I was still very young, like 20, not very, but 26 at the time. And everybody says, oh, you're in this good role at a good job, getting paid good money. You should stay in it. But it was not the best choice for my mental well-being any longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's so important to share those stories because we do get people telling us, oh, just be grateful. Oh, you're lucky to have a job. Oh, you're so young and you're well established. Like, why would you walk away from? And we really do have to have our own conviction of, no, I know what I need. And this isn't it. Like, you can say all these outside factors are so great. And you're right. They are great. But it's not enough for me to stay and be miserable. And that's something that I faced too as a teacher. Like I went back and forth and it took me maybe longer than I would have liked to finally say enough's enough. But that's really what it comes down to, being in touch with, no, this is what I need. I trust myself and I have the faith that it's going to work out because anything's better feeling this way every day and dreading life, daily life. So yeah.
You're 100% right. And I have such a warm heart for educators because my husband, his entire family, he's the youngest and he has 3 older sisters. And even his mother, they're all in education. They're all teachers or assistant principals. And it really blows my mind how that industry is not taken care of. Y'all are building the next generation of kids, of leaders, of the future empire of the United States. So it just doesn't make any sense. When I was reading about your story, I was like, oh, education.
Yeah. Because everybody has some kind of connection to it. And I feel like almost everybody knows somebody that's a teacher in their family or a friend or whatever. And yeah, it really is. As much as people can connect to it on some level, there's still no really true understanding unless you're in it or surrounded by it, like your husband's family's in it. And then you get a little more insight into what's going on.
Yeah. I really commend them.
Yeah. Okay, so you took this leap, you quit, and what was it about virtual assistant that called to you?
because of my connection through my travel blog, I really considered her a good friend. And once she stepped into that space and shared more about it, I was like, oh, this is definitely something that I can do. I can utilize these skills that I've built, not just in life, but from previous employment, everyday living, education that I've invested in myself and things that I've done for myself. Like all of these things are skills that I already had. So I knew that, hey, I can package this up and offer some type of service that small business owners or the industry that I was looking for at the time, they need. And it was because of that connection and her already knowing the industry and being able to explain it to me and put me in that position to win, which is what really allowed me to step into my space. And then after launching, I just had so much success in a short amount of time that after a year later, I too stepped into the coaching space because I was receiving so many questions and DMs about how do you do this? How do you find clients? How do you even start?
Mm.
And what is a VA?
Yeah. I think that's great. Was there any other avenues you were exploring before you went down this path?
So I did have my crystal and gemstone business as well as my travel blog, and I had dabbled in those, but the crystal and gemstone business did make me a little bit of money, but not enough to survive and pay bills. And my travel blog was really a hobby for myself. I was not monetizing it in any way. I think I was ahead of the game with how travel blog industries are now and did not know how to monetize it in that way. I knew that I wanted to step into entrepreneurship. I just truly had no idea how or what I could do. What value do I have? Why would people want to work with me or
Mm.
buy what I offer? I always had a lot of imposter syndrome about those things as well because other people coming in and having so much success in whatever these endeavors are, their travel blog, their business, whatever it is. And here you are doing the same thing, but you didn't monetize it. I honestly just knew I wanted to step into entrepreneurship and find something that mattered to me, but I had no idea what that was. And once I was introduced to the VA industry, it clicked. I can do
Mm.
this. I've done things like this for many organizations in my previous employment, in everyday life. I can create something out of the skills I already have. And that was the next step was figuring out, okay, what skills do then you sit down and you're
Yeah.
like, what are my skills?
Yeah, for sure. I, I can relate to that so much. And I think it's interesting that you say, oh, as soon as I discovered this and went through, okay, what is a VA and what do they do? And then you're like, oh, look, I have all of these skills. I felt similar when I found UX design and I'm researching and I'm reading through it and I'm like, oh, wow, like this uses all these things that I already am good at, and I'm excited about it. And so I just love that the example of taking the action and learning about something new in order to then start uncovering what are my transferable skills or how do I, if I know I can do this thing, how do I just communicate to people on the VA side that what I did over here in my previous job is the same exact thing. It just
Yeah.
might sound different or different terminology or whatever. So,
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest issue that a lot of aspiring or freelancers or online service providers have is that they start off and they don't know how to articulate that. They don't know how to make that switch from being an employee to a CEO, a business owner, and being able to really share the value and what their offer is. And I think that's where I will say that there's so many valuable resources online and you can do your own research, but I also think that consuming so much free
yeah.
information online can then confuse you because everybody has different opinions and conflicting opinions at that. And this is where I think investing in a program or a coach or a mentor to help you really give you that step-by-step framework, the blueprint, somebody that's already gone through that experience can truly help you navigate that turmoil, especially when setting up the foundation. So I know that's a lot of people struggle with that. How do they now articulate their worth with their new business?
Yeah. And as you say that, I think I still have a hard time talking about myself or writing about myself. And it really is having that coach or having that outsider looking in and saying, no, you're so great at this and that, just like reframing it. Because when you're coming from inside looking out, you're like, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea what I can do or what value I bring. Because it is that imposter syndrome. It's that self-doubt. It's that we don't typically, as a society, celebrate the little things. And it's starting to try and celebrate. Like, what comes naturally to you is no, not everybody has that. And
Exactly.
embracing it and celebrating it. Yeah.
Exactly. I love what you just said. What you have doesn't come naturally to everyone else. And a lot of people don't realize that too. The skills that you already have, not everybody has those same exact skills. And that's even something that I've dealt with, especially being in this space now for 4 years. And my husband, I think, still does not fully understand what it is that I do. And when I'm explaining things to him or even talking about Canva or a basic tool or something, he's no, break it down, which that makes you realize, look, a lot of people still don't know about these tools that have been around for so long, but this is exactly where it's you do have a skill. You do know how to use something. And there's billions of people out there. There's so many opportunities. The market is not saturated. It doesn't matter if there's a million VAs, a million whatever. No one is you, and that's what you bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that there is often an insecurity of, oh, so many people are doing this, or I can't do the same exact thing that, like, you have a friend that's a VA too. And it's, no, this isn't competition. This is collaboration. This is, like you said, using your uniqueness and the right people that work well with you are going to hire you. And then the people that work well with her are going to hire her. And there's no limitation to it. There's abundance, right? It's not scarcity. It's this abundance mindset that there's room for everybody.
Yes, love it. Room for everybody. And exactly what you said too about, I think people start to get scared because they do think about clients, but just as you said, they will have their target audience. You will have your target audience. And what you do, it will probably be different than what they do. Everybody can offer something different. And even if you offer the same exact thing as someone else, I promise you, they're not doing it the way that you do. They may not have the foundation set up, the system set up. And at the end of the day, they're still not you. So I love abundance in everything.
Yeah. And it makes me think of in teaching too. You have a team of teachers that are all teaching the same grade. They're all teaching the same subject matter, and yet they are all doing it differently. And I just remember we would come together for a team meeting, and one teacher would say, "Oh, I taught this lesson. It went really well." And everyone's, "Oh, I want it. I want to do it. I want to do it." And then I would go and teach that lesson, and I'm like, "Yeah, that didn't go very well," because it just wasn't the way that I do things. And so we just all come with, like, we have maybe the same foundation, but yes, we're all unique and we're all going to bring something different to the table.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about what a VA is.
Okay. So a virtual assistant is a freelancer, a remote worker who can help small businesses or brick and mortar businesses with anything ranging from administrative work, social media management, calendar management, data entry, bookkeeping. The list goes on. There's so many things that you can offer as a VA, and it's truly about finding what is the skills that you already have that you want to offer. A VA is the partner to business owners in helping their business thrive. They take off a lot of those daily mundane tasks so that the business owner can get back to their zone of genius and those daily revenue generating activities that they should be focusing on and the things that they love to do in their business. So I love to say that we're more than just a VA because we truly are a partner within their business. We allow them to grow. And if it wasn't for our support of doing those miscellaneous things or tasks that they don't enjoy doing, or which is funny, a task that somebody doesn't enjoy doing could be the one that you love. So that always works out. Ensuring that business owners are delegating assignments to individuals who that's their zone of genius so that they can get back to theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for explaining that, because I know not everybody might know what a virtual assistant is. And the fact that there's so many different things you can help with, that just means that you have a diverse skill set and you're able to leverage it in different ways. And I also think too, like, if you're a virtual assistant that really enjoys bookkeeping, that could be your focus. And that's what you help most people with versus someone that, no, I want to do the email management and communications and stuff. And then you can niche down and focus on your expertise as well.
I think that when you first start out in this industry, I do think it's important to not niche down immediately
Right.
because, and a lot of people, that's an unpopular opinion in this industry because everybody says niche down immediately. But I think in the beginning, it's good to explore a variety of things because you don't really know what it is that you like to do
Right.
or don't like to do if you don't dabble in other things. Perfect example for myself, when I first started, I had never done anything in podcast management, which that's another thing. As a VA, you can pivot into something else, but we'll get there later. But I had never even thought of offering podcast management as a service. And working with one of my clients, they introduced me to that. And now that's still a skill to this day that I offer to others. And to break it down even more, I don't offer it in this vast component. Like, I don't really enjoy editing video and sound. That's not my thing. I do the logistics side. So, guest research, finding the guests, pitching them, getting their one sheeter ready, the communication after the episode is published. So, that's another way that you can find the bits and pieces that you like of a service to make it work for whatever you want to offer in your business. And I just, I love that.
Yeah, no, I do think it's important to start with everything and then figure out what am I really good at? And I think that is, or what do I really enjoy the
Yeah.
most? And that can be said for most
Yeah.
jobs, right? Going into UX design is, yeah, I can do all these things, but if I got to choose what I focused on, I don't know until I have more experience.
So, dabble in a ton of skill set first and then niche down later because you can pivot
Yes.
into whatever you want to.
Yeah. And I think it's a similar principle to what I've talked about with other guests where they start their own business down one road and then people are telling them, actually, I need this thing and I can tell you're really good at this thing. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they can pivot and focus more on what people are needing from them. And so it's the same idea of, okay, I'm going to start down this road. I'm going to do all of these virtual assistant tasks, and then I can find out through my experience, right, what is most needed or what I enjoy the most, and then focus it on that. So, yeah.
Exactly. Love that. And pivoting, that's like the most exciting part is that you get to start as a VA, but you may end up as a podcast manager. You could end up as a social media manager. You could turn into a coach, an agency. The options are limitless when it comes to starting as a VA. And I think that's even more exciting about it is you can start this way, but you may end up stepping more into alignment when you find what it is that you truly enjoy to offer and the impact that you're going to make in whatever industry and target audience you want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Which kind of brings me back to a question I had a little earlier when you mentioned there's so much noise out there and you can often consume too much free stuff and then it confuses you. And so it takes me back to when I was trying to figure out, okay, what's next for me? Because I had finally decided it's not in education, it's somewhere else. And I'm teaching from home. It was also during the pandemic. And I am noticing all these people online making money doing this or doing that or whatever. And I came across one day a virtual assistant post or whatever, become a VA and this is how much money you can make. And I was like, oh my God, you're kidding me. They make more money than I do as a teacher. And I can do all of those things like really well. And I probably wouldn't struggle as much as I am struggling right now in my job. And yet I had to then take a step back and be like, okay, but is that what I want to do? And I have come up against that a few times in this process of change of, oh, but could I change my career faster if I did this thing over here or whatnot? And so it's like shiny object syndrome, right? And so it's always coming back to what is it really that I want? And so can you maybe talk a little bit about how we or you have navigated something like that in your experience?
So I think the biggest, when it comes to creating a business in general, you really have to hash out first before you even decide what skills that you have and what services you want to offer. You need to identify what is your why. what is the why behind you wanting to start your business? What is the reason that's going to be the driving force to keep you to push forward, even when you have those moments of imposter syndrome, doubt, because that's bound to happen. It's inevitable. It continues to happen till this day. And I think as you grow within your business, you just find strategies and tools that help you navigate those instances better. But the biggest thing is coming back to your why. What is that driving force that's going to keep you motivated? And I know for myself, and I know this sounds general because everybody says this, but truly figure out what your why is. Don't just say this because it's normal. But truly for me, my why is to create generational wealth for my family. My mom is Jamaican, so she is an immigrant, and she came to the States and created something out of nothing. She was a part of the military. She was in the army for 8 years, her and my father. And it's just, I think sorry, to carry on too. I'm also an only child. So it's on my mother's side. On my dad's side, I'm the oldest of 5, but I grew up with my mom. So when I think about those things, I think, wow, I really want to create something for my future. I want to be that grandmother on the porch that's sitting there. I started this huge family. And the opportunities that they'll be presented with because of the things that I'm doing now, the steps that I'm taking now. And it's all about breaking those generational curses, like making sure that my future kids and grandkids and all of that will be set and have opportunities that my mom didn't and that I didn't, even though she's provided so much for me, still didn't have. We didn't come into this world with a lot of money. We had to create it. And that always brings me back to why I continue to push forward in my business, because entrepreneurship in the online space is an ebb and flow type of situation. So you have to be able to obviously allocate your finances good, but continue to push forward no matter what. And what's going to help you do that is your why. That you have to figure that out before you do anything else.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder because, yeah, you can get easily distracted, but and I love how you shared how you like picture your future sitting on the porch with your grandkids. And that's really what it is, like starting with the end in mind and then making the plan to get there.
And I also believe that if you have that, if the vision came to you, if you think that, oh, you want to start your VA business, or oh, you're going to be rich, or oh, you can do whatever it is, if that vision or that thing came to you, you can do it. There's no reason it came to your future self probably already has it. That's why it came to you in your present self. I really believe that. I'm strong in my faith and I know that all things are possible through him, but also you have to continue to do the work. You can't just
Yeah.
be faithful and not do the work, and you can't do your affirmations and manifest and all that stuff and not do the work. You still have to do it and you'll be rewarded.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can you talk about maybe a challenge or like a tough time you went through as you're building this business and how you stayed resilient through it?
Yeah. I've had several of those tough times. It is entrepreneurship, of course. I guess one that still resonates with me, and I actually just talked about this recently with one of the students in my program. Back in 2022, when I stepped into the coaching space finally and launched my first program, course and coaching program, at the time, and still to this day, I still support clients as a VA. But at that time, I was supporting only 2 clients. It was one of those valley moments in my business, still bringing home a decent amount compared to what I would have been in a corporate world. But I was only supporting 2 clients and I had stepped into the coaching space. I was promoting it so much. And one of these clients, this is why you also have to honor your boundaries,
Mhm.
because I did not honor my boundaries with this client. She always would pay me late, always. Every single invoice was always late. And even though in my contract and in the welcome guide and email, and it had been communicated that after 3 business days, it will be a certain late fee. I had just never honored it all the first times that she was late because I was still fresh in my business thinking, oh, I can make these sacrifices. I don't wanna lose this client, still
Mhm.
operating from that place of fear, even though I had already taken this leap of faith. And I had just decided enough is enough. When she was late to pay me and I finally put that late fee on, I remember she sent me a message saying, can I remove it? I was firm in my boundaries and said, hey, I would love to. However, I've never put it on all the many times that you've been late. I didn't honor my boundaries. So moving forward, it'll be on. And
Mhm.
she paid her invoice, and then at our next meeting, told me that she no longer wanted to move forward with me. And we had been working together for about 8 months. So it's not like I wasn't producing value for her. I did enjoy working with her. It was just she was always late. And I guess that really triggered her. And I know for her too, it was because she lives in whatever state and where she grew up was another state. And there was an incident that happened in her town of where she grew up that she also no longer lives. So her reasoning for wanting me to remove the late fee was that, hey, she was dealing with a community emergency. Mind you, she lives in a different state, which I'm very compassionate. If it was a true emergency, you have to, everybody's going through something. I would never just say, yeah, late fee, you're dealing with this. But
Yeah.
to me, you're in an entire different state. You can't do anything that's happening there. And I asked questions too to get more clarity. Like there, no family was there, nobody was hurt, everything was fine. It was just something that happened in the town that she grew up from. And I guess because I stood firm in my boundaries with that, the next meeting is when she said she no longer wanted to work with me. So that was very difficult, but I was so proud of myself because I stood firm in my boundaries. It also made me realize that moving forward, I would never neglect what I already have in my contract and what's already been reiterated. And that was a lesson for me to learn. And not only that, because I'm very faithful in myself and I knew that when one door closes, a better one opens. 5 days later, after our part, like we had that meeting. I still closed out the month for her, but we had the meeting. I found out I wasn't going to be working with her after that month. And 5 days later, I got my first paying full student for my program.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Testament to
Yeah.
just pushing forward and believing in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that those situations come up in order to help us decide what are we going to do? How are we going to show up? And it's that faith aspect, right? And that abundance mindset of, okay, there is more beyond this. And if she was late every time, it took you 8 months to get to that point where you're like, no, I'm going to do this. And then the blessing came after. And however long it takes, we could beat ourselves up that it took 8 months. Maybe it could have been whatever. But it takes whatever time it takes for us individually to make that decision. And then once that evidence is presented to us, we're like, oh, I could do that again. I feel that confidence is built because of the action that we took by holding the boundary and seeing the abundance that comes from it. So,
Yeah. That respecting your boundaries is key. And I know it's very hard to do. It's
yeah.
crazy how difficult it is for us to respect our boundaries, but I have known from that experience and even a few experiences after, because obviously it's an ongoing lesson with life. Is That's another thing. I think that we'll constantly have the same lessons or go through different experiences because we haven't shifted it completely or we haven't stepped into that fully faithful zone or whatever it is. Yeah, I had a few more experiences after that, but I just continue to take those as lessons, and now those are they don't really when I see a red flag or somebody, a client is stepping over my boundaries, I immediately say something. Instead of
Mhm.
before, I probably would have waited. Now it's immediate, and I know what's meant for me will be for me, and that's that. I truly believe when one door closes, a better one opens, and
Mhm.
it's because of that experience and other opportunities that have happened.
Yeah. Awesome. So, can you talk a little bit about maybe who might benefit from VA services and anything else you want to share about? I know you had your list of things you want to talk about. So, if there's something I haven't asked you about, we'd love to learn a little bit more about your space.
Yeah. People who will benefit from virtual assistant services, like hiring a VA, are, of course, small business owners. That ranges from so many things. It could be those in the health and wellness industry, marketers, content creators, UGC creators, skincare lines, tech businesses. The list goes on. You can support so many industries that are either small businesses, larger organizations. The list really goes on there. And it truly just depends on who you want to support and the work that you enjoy doing. So finding that industry. But all of those businesses can benefit from having a VA because depending on who they hire, VAs can offer a variety of tasks or specialized skills. So depending on what a business needs, they can hire a VA to support them with whatever that might be. So again, we said like email management before, which is I think all of that stuff falls under administrative support.
Mm.
If you need a video editor, a tech VA, maybe you need me as a VA with my clients. My role, even though I'm a virtual assistant, my title with them is really marketing and operations support. So I help a lot with the back end of the business as well as with some marketing strategies that we implement. So you could also do something like that as a VA. And that's another thing. They may hire you as a VA, but then you'll realize sometimes the work that you're doing really falls into maybe an online business manager or an executive assistant or a marketing and operations support or just operations in general. And that will really help you hash down too what kind of services you want to offer. Any small business, any large organization, any industry could truly benefit from hiring a VA to support them with any of the tasks that they have within their business. It's just finding the right VA that you like, depending on the task that they want to delegate. They have to just do their research and find the right VA for them. So that's how businesses can benefit. Those who actually want to step into this space could be current freelancers, stay at home moms, recent college graduates, those ready for a career shift, those who are tired of the 9 to 5 grind. It's truly for anyone who's ready to step into not just being a VA, you're stepping into being a business owner, a CEO,
Mhm.
you're creating something for yourself. And I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's a lot of work, especially in the beginning, because you want to ensure that you're setting up the right foundation. You have the right documentation and systems and tools in place, so that as your business continues to grow, it can scale efficiently without you having to go back and do a lot of work. And obviously, there might be tweaks and things that you've set up, but as long as you have that solid foundation, it will continue to operate efficiently. Anyone can step into the VA space. If you're ready to create a business and a life full of freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment, and the opportunity to uncap your income, because in these corporate jobs, each title can only get a certain amount of pay. And then what? What's next from there? Also, I truly believe that we are more than our job descriptions, and that is an epidemic. Like they're always trying to make job descriptions self descriptions, and we are so much more than that. So it's creating a business that you can build around your life and not your life around your career.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you tell people how you help them start build that foundation for their own business? Can you kind of
Yes.
share a little bit more about what you do to
Yes.
support?
Love it. So grateful to be in this space and just continue to support individuals on creating a business the same way that been able to create a business that I enjoy the clients I work with. I set my schedule. I pick my rate. It's mine. I created it. So right now at Elite VA Services, I have two different ways that I can support aspiring virtual assistants or established virtual assistants continue to launch or scale their virtual assistant businesses. And the first way is through both programs are called VA the Elite Way. One is my signature program and one is the Academy. But through VA the Elite Way, I take them through my framework, which is called the Elite Roadmap. And I always like to make this joke. Everybody knows of the FBI, but over here, we're talking about the FCI. It is your freedom, confidence, and impact framework, but it truly stands for building a foundation. So in the first phase, we're all about building that foundation. As I said, I want you to identify what your why is. Like, why do you even want to start a business? What's going to be that driving force to keep you motivated through all the trials and tribulations that come with becoming a business owner and starting a business? And also from there, we'll hash out like, what skills do you already have? Then we'll dabble in what are some services right now that you could offer as a VA? But just getting you introduced into what a VA is, what you already have, what your why is, and really setting up like that strong foundation of a mindset and stepping into a CEO instead of an employee.
Yeah.
Then in phase two, it's all about cultivating. And in my fun phrase, that's your confidence step, but it's all about cultivating it. Everything that we've done in the foundation, now we're actually going to start implementing steps. We're going to build the documentation you need. We're going to figure out what tools you want to use to start your VA business because I also show in the program a free way to get started, which is the way that I got started. I didn't purchase any of all these subscriptions and tools that I have now. I just got started with my laptop, Wi-Fi, and free tools. And then I also show them the way that I evolved as my business grew, how I got a CRM, how I got a project management tool, and I started to invest in other tools to help me continue to grow my business. But in that phase, we really hash out those elements. So, what services do you want to offer based on the work we did in the foundation? What do you even want to call your business? How are we going to set it up as a legal entity? What's the next step there? And then from there, then we'll step into phase 3, which is all about implementation. And now we're going to take everything we've learned from phase 1 and 2, and we're actually going to start implementing it. You've already created all the documents. Let's maybe set up your website if that's what you want to do, if you're going the subscription based route. If you want to start free, we can set up a Canva template site or a services and pricing guide. We'll really just start setting up your business so that you can officially launch. I'll help you onboard your first client, because while they're a part of the program, I also share job opportunities from those who have filled out a VA inquiry form from our website. But I also have a network full of VAs and other online business owners. And they always send me opportunities too that I share with the student that they can then go apply to if it's a good fit for them. So that's the 3 phases that I walk them through in the signature program in the academy. The difference is that the signature is 12 weeks, but it has the course as well. They have a self-paced course that they go through and watch. And then the academy is group coaching, and it's 8 weeks. So those are the 2 ways right now that I support aspiring or established VAs launch or scale their virtual assistant business through our 3-phase framework.
Amazing. Yeah. I just love the free pieces of the puzzle coming together. And it just seems such a great way to help people get into this space of owning their own business so that they can have that time freedom that I know a lot of people desire these days. And the network that you have built is just invaluable, I think, to what they're going to get by working with you.
I'm truly grateful. And it's because of conversations like this and putting yourself out there, pitching yourself. The worst anything could happen is they'll say no. And what we already know from this conversation is when one door closes, a better one opens. So you have to put yourself out there, but it's because of connections like this and just always the conversations I have through social media, showing up at events, networking events, that I've been able to create a really good network and friendships, honestly, because as we know too, this space can get a little lonely because you don't have a employee friend to vent to about what's going on. So it's nice to have that community. And it's honestly crazy how you can have such a loving and awesome community through the online space.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things about podcasting and interviewing people is just meeting so many people that are just so supportive and so willing to help me. Some people ask me at the end of our episodes, what can I do to support you in your business, or how can I help you? I reached out to a few people last week and said, hey, can we jump on a live tomorrow? And they're like, I'm there. And I love that that is possible with the online space. It's somebody all over the world. You just never know. So It's really cool.
And that is the best part about the online space too, is that you just never know who you're inspiring and where they are in the world. That's why it's important to not give up and to keep going, because you don't know who's looking at your page. Forget the likes, forget the followers, because that's another thing. Followers don't equate to money in your bank account. I have clients that have barely any followers, but they're 6-figure plus business owners. And that just goes to show you it's not about the numbers in regard to social media. It's about the community, the relationships. I'm very grateful to just be here and talk to your audience. And I hope that they've had so many gems that they can take away. And whether they're wanting to start their VA journey or entrepreneurial journey now, I know that they have both of us in their corner to support them on that.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And yeah, I'm just so impressed with what you're doing. Congratulations on your success in your business thus far. So
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Career Change for Women podcast. If you've loved this episode, leave a review. It helps more women find the show. Feeling stuck in your career? Let's connect. Follow me on social media at Shift Your Day Job or email me at shiftyourdayjob@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Brittany Cates. Let's shift your day job together.